Psychology of struggles. Only high IQ people face. Disclaimer, before we begin, this video is for education and self-reflection only. Having these traits does not automatically mean you have a high IQ, and having a high IQ does not automatically mean you will struggle with anxiety, loneliness, depression, or overthinking. Some of these experiences can also overlap with introversion, giftedness, ADHD, autism, anxiety, high sensitivity trauma, or simply personality. If your worry, insomnia, emotional distress, or daily functioning feels seriously affected, please consider speaking with a qualified mental health professional. Now let's begin. Most people think high intelligence makes life easier. They imagine a sharp mind as a kind of superpower. Faster answers, better decisions, deeper insight, easier success. And sometimes that is true. But there is another side that people rarely talk about. Because a powerful mind does not only solve problems faster, it can also create problems faster. It can see more possibilities, detect more inconsistencies, imagine more consequences, replay more conversations, and carry more invisible weight than anyone around it realizes. So if you have ever felt like your mind never fully switches off, this video may put words to something you have been living with for years. Not to glorify suffering, not to make intelligence sound superior, but to understand what happens when a mind is built to notice more than it can always hold. A simple brain map. Before we go deeper, imagine the high-processing mind like this. Input what you see, hear, remember, sense, and feel. Pattern detection. Your brain searches for meaning, contradiction, danger connection, mental simulation. What could happen? What did they mean? What if I'm wrong? Self-monitoring. Was that the right thing to say? Am I overreacting? Should I have done better? Emotional load, fatigue, tension, insomnia, self-doubt, loneliness, behavior, withdrawal, perfectionism, procrastination, over-explaining, silence, or overworking. This is why high intelligence is not just about thinking more. It is about how much of life gets turned into information. And when everything becomes information, even rest can start to feel like another task. 1. The moment they wake up already tired. Some people wake up and simply begin the day. But for a highly active mind, the day often begins before the body is ready. Before their feet touch the floor, the mind is already reviewing yesterday. What did I forget? What could go wrong today? Why did that person respond that way? Did I say too much? Did I say too little? Should I have handled that differently? And the strange part is nothing has happened yet. There is no emergency, no visible crisis, but internally the system is already running. This is one of the first hidden struggles of a high IQ or deeply analytical mind. It does not wait for problems to appear. It starts scanning for them. Psychologists sometimes connect this to need for cognition, the tendency to enjoy and seek effortful thinking. But when that drive has no boundary, thinking can stop feeling like curiosity and start feeling like compulsion. Early research on need for cognition found it was positively correlated with general intelligence, though it is not the same thing as IQ, and that is the first lesson. The problem is not that you think deeply. The problem is that no one taught you when to stop. 2. The moment they enter a room and process too much. A person with an ordinary social filter may walk into a room and hear conversation. But a highly perceptive person may walk into the same room and notice tone, tension, eye contact, hidden discomfort, hierarchy, mood shifts, who is pretending to be fine, who is trying too hard, and what no one is saying out loud. This can look like social awkwardness from the outside, but inside it is often information overload. They are not just being quiet, they are processing. They may pause before speaking, because their mind is checking the emotional temperature of the room. They may seem distant because they are absorbing more than they can immediately express. And over time this can become exhausting. Because when your brain notices what others miss, you do not always feel gifted. Sometimes you feel responsible. Responsible for the tension. Responsible for the silence. Responsible for fixing something no one else even noticed. This is where intelligence can quietly turn into hyper-responsibility. And the practical lesson is this: not everything you notice is yours to carry. A useful sentence to remember is, I can notice it without owning it. You can notice someone's mood without managing it. You can sense tension without becoming the solution. You can understand more without carrying more. 3. The moment small talk becomes painful. Here is something many people misunderstand. Some highly intelligent people do not dislike small talk because they think they are better than others. They dislike it because their mind has nowhere to land. Surface-level conversation can feel like standing outside a locked door. Everyone is speaking, but nothing is opening. They can do it. They can smile. They can ask about the weather, weekend plans, work updates, the usual things, but inside part of them is starving for a conversation that feels alive. A conversation about meaning, patterns, ideas, human behavior, why people become who they become, why the world works the way it does. That does not mean small talk is useless. Small talk helps people build safety. It is often the doorway to deeper trust. But for a mind that craves depth, living only in small talk can feel like emotional malnutrition. Some research on happiness and intelligence suggests that the relationship between frequent socialization, life satisfaction may differ for more intelligent individuals. One study found that more intelligent people reported lower life satisfaction with more frequent socializing with friends. Though this should not be interpreted as smart people do not need people. It is better understood as a reminder that quality of connection matters deeply. The deeper truth is this: sometimes loneliness is not the absence of people. Sometimes loneliness is the absence of being met. And if you relate to this, the answer is not to become arrogant or detached. The answer is to find 2 or 3 places where your depth is not treated like a problem. A reading group, a serious friend, a therapist, a mentor, a creative community, a conversation where you do not have to translate your soul into smaller language. You do not need everyone to understand you, but you do need somewhere you can stop shrinking. 4. The moment a simple decision becomes a private trial. For some people, a decision is a decision. For a highly analytical mind, a decision becomes a courtroom. Should I send this message? Suddenly the mind begins. What if the wording sounds too cold? What if it sounds too needy? What if they misunderstand? What if I wait too long? What if I reply too fast? What if this changes the relationship? One small choice becomes 10 possible futures. This is often called analysis paralysis. The more variables the mind sees, the harder it becomes to choose. And here is the painful irony. Intelligence can help you see consequences, but too many imagined consequences can make action feel dangerous. A fast mind can become trapped between possibilities. This is why many highly intelligent people procrastinate. Not because they are lazy, but because their mind is trying to solve the entire future before taking the first step. Here is the tool. Fact story. Next step. Write 3 lines. Fact. What actually happened? Story. What am I adding, assuming, predicting, or fearing next step? What is one small action I can take in the next 10 minutes? For example, fact. They have not replied yet. Story. Maybe they are upset with me. Next step. Wait until tomorrow. Do not send 5 extra messages. Return to my task. A powerful mind needs paper, because when a thought stays in your head, it can disguise itself as truth. When it lands on paper, it becomes data, and data can be examined. 5. The moment praise becomes pressure. People think smart individuals enjoy being praised, and sometimes they do. But for many highly capable people, praise does not feel simple. You are so smart. You always know what to do. You are the talented one. You have so much potential. At first, those words may sound encouraging, but over time, they can become a cage. Because if you are praised for being smart, you may begin to believe you are only safe when you are impressive, only lovable when you are useful, only valuable when you are exceptional. This is where perfectionism begins, not always from arrogance, often from fear. The fear of disappointing people, the fear of being exposed, the fear of proving that maybe you were never as capable as everyone thought. And the hardest part is that intelligent people can often imagine the ideal version of everything. The perfect answer, the perfect project, the perfect life, the perfect self. So when reality is human, unfinished, messy, and limited, it can feel like failure. But here is the truth. Perfectionism is not excellence. Perfectionism is often grief, the grief of seeing the ideal before you have the time, energy, skill, or conditions to build it. The practical shift is this: replace perfect with usable. Not is this flawless. Ask, is this honest? Is this useful? Is this the next version? Can this exist before it is complete? Because most meaningful things are not born perfect. They are revised into strength. 6. The moment the mind cannot sleep. There is a particular kind of loneliness that happens at night. The room is quiet, the body is tired, but the mind opens every file it ignored during the day. A sentence from 3 days ago, a mistake from 3 years ago, a future that may never happen, a problem that cannot be solved at 2 a.m., and suddenly the bed becomes a courtroom. This matters because sleep is not optional for a thinking brain. Sleep supports attention, emotional regulation, memory, and decision-making. And when worry becomes hard to control for months with symptoms like restlessness, fatigue, poor concentration, irritability, muscle tension, or sleep problems, NIMH describes this as a reason to consider whether anxiety support may be needed. So do not romanticize chronic insomnia as just having a deep mind. A deep mind still needs a rested body. Here is a simple night practice. 1 hour before bed, write what my brain wants to solve tonight. Then next to each item, write when I will handle it tomorrow. You are not ignoring the problem. You are scheduling it. Then repeat. Bed is not a courtroom. Bed is not a strategy room. Bed is recovery. The goal is not to force your brain into silence. The goal is to teach it that not every thought gets access to the night. 7. The moment they realize intelligence is not enough. This may be the deepest struggle. At some point, many highly intelligent people realize that understanding their pain does not automatically heal it. They can explain their patterns. They can identify their wounds. They can name attachment styles, cognitive distortions, trauma responses, perfectionism, avoidance, rumination, and fear. But still they repeat the same cycles, because insight is not the same as integration. Thinking about emotion is not the same as feeling it. Understanding a pattern is not the same as changing it. This is where intelligence must become humility. Because the mind that helped you survive may not be the same thing that helps you heal. Healing often requires things intelligence cannot replace. Sleep, movement, connection, practice, action, therapy, emotional honesty, and the willingness to do something imperfectly before you fully understand it. A line I have found useful in my own life is this: clarity does not always come before action. Sometimes clarity is produced by action. You do not always think your way into a new life. Sometimes you act your way into new evidence. You send the message. You take the walk. You start the project badly. You tell the truth gently. You stop reopening the same thought when there is no new data. You let one ordinary day be enough. The real way forward. So if you recognize yourself in this video, do not rush to turn it into an identity. You do not need to prove that you are intelligent. You do not need to collect symptoms like trophies. And you do not need to believe that being misunderstood makes you superior. The goal is much deeper than that. The goal is to build a life where your mind no longer has to attack you in order to feel useful. A life where intelligence has direction, where awareness has boundaries, where depth has rest, where curiosity does not become rumination, where solitude restores you but does not isolate you, where your ability to see more does not mean you must carry everything you see, because maybe the real struggle of high intelligence is not thinking too much. Maybe it is never being taught how to return from thought back into life. So tonight, try one simple thing. Write down the thought that keeps repeating. Then ask, is this a fact or a story? Is there new data, or am I reopening the same trial? What is one small action I can take? And if there is no action to take tonight, let the thought wait. Not because it is unimportant, but because you are important too. Your mind matters, but your peace matters as well. And the goal is not to become less deep. The goal is to stop drowning in your own depth, because a brilliant mind without rest becomes a prison with beautiful windows. But a brilliant mind with structure, humility, connection, and care can become something else entirely. Not a cage, not a curse, but a compass. One that does not just help you understand the world. It helps you finally live in it.